Institute for the Semi-Arid Tropics. It's a public research institute. It's a international, we do work on international research, and we're part of the CGIAR consortium, which has 15 such institutes globally. ICRISAT is based in India since 1972, and I think we're trying to address many challenges in agriculture. Especially you can give the next one, next slide. So many challenges in agriculture which cannot be easily solved. ICRISAT works on crop improvement. ICRISAT works on socioeconomics and policies, natural resource management, as well as crop improvement through various means, through conventional plant biotechnology, conventional agriculture as breeding, as well as biotechnology. And these are some of the major challenges, I think, which we are trying to address. And we all know these are becoming very real. There's a perfect storm brewing here. Climate crisis, biodiversity crisis is coming up big. We have desertification, which is happening globally in many parts of the world. There's an energy crisis. There's a food crisis, and on top of it is the population crisis. The population is also increasing, and these are some of the challenges in agriculture which needs to be addressed. We need to increase the productivity and make the agriculture more efficient. We need to find solutions for important constraints to crop productivity. There are many constraints because of which the crops do not produce optimally. Biotic stresses like insect problem is there, fungal problems, viral problems are there. At the same time, we have abiotic stresses like drought is very big, because most of the agriculture we do in India, over 70% is rain-fed, which means we rely on the rain gods basically. And when the rains doesn't come in time, or there's fluctuation in rain, our crops face severe challenges. Especially if you look at groundnut in the peninsular India, there's a major problem with the crop productivity there. As a result, for many of the crops in India, our crop, the potential is very high, but the productivity we get is very, very low. For example, in the case of groundnut, the global average is about 3 tons per hectare. In India, we feel lucky if we touch 1 ton also. So that's the potential we're losing because of some of these constraints. So we need to develop new technologies that can raise the potential in these areas, and also create opportunities for diversification of in agriculture as well as in various value chains. So with that backdrop, I would like to emphasize that there are several constraints to crop productivity. When you want to improve the crops, basically, crop improvement is a very major challenge for plant breeders. For many of the traits we are actually working on, we don't have available genetic variability in the system, in our gene banks, or in our biotechnology can play a very important role. And if you look at this slide, I think this is a very interesting and important slide, and I always use it, especially when I'm talking to the media people. As I said, the conventional plant breeding will always remain the main backbone of crop improvement. Always, the breeders will always be very important. But what we're trying to do through other technologies, like there's a molecular marker technology which does not require any biosafety, but that is possible only when you have a trait in your germplasm, and then you can fix the trait using molecular biology, by using molecular markers. So it can lead to a more precise plant breeding, basically, precision and speed. But if you don't have the trait in your germplasm, then genetic engineering is one of the best options, where it relies on a number of aspects. Can you go to the next one, please? So there are several applications of genetic engineering which are already happening. If you look at the first 3 these activities are already being done actually. Herbicide tolerance, virus resistance, insect resistant plant. All of us are very familiar with BT cotton, but then there are other crops also. Then there are next generation of technologies where you can actually look at altering the seed storage. You can make the crops more nutritious, basically, by adding more protein, more vitamins. Golden rice is a very good example there for biofortification of nutrients, and also silencing of genes. You can silence some of the existing genes, especially which are toxin, which produce natural toxins, like allergic reactions. You can silence those genes so that the crop becomes more safe for the future. Okay? And then there are several other applications. Next one, please. But if you look at this slide here, it's very easy to say GM crops, but this is all what is required in producing GM crops. It's a very long process, very judicious work is required in the lab, and many of us, especially in the public sector, can only do this very easily, because this is all lab-based, science-based work. But as you start moving a little bit down, you need more facilities. You need better greenhouses where you can do the testing in biosafe manner. You need good molecular biology skills to do all those work. And then the third one, the green one, becomes even more difficult because you need special skills there. Contained trials you need to do under natural conditions. You need to do open field testing and also generate data on food and environmental safety. And that's also becomes very, very difficult because most of the scientists in the public sector system are not trained for all these things. And then finally, if you look at release and developing new varieties is even next stage. And if you look at the timeline there, it can take anywhere from 10 to 15 years to develop a new transgenic variety which can be released. And then once you have this new variety deregulated, the breeders can routinely use it to develop new varieties which are targeted to different regions. And the cost is also high here. We might have to spend something like 10 to 15 crore rupees just to deregulate one variety, one transgenic variety. Next one. But nevertheless, if you see, if you look at this graph which comes out every year, on what is the status of genetically engineered crops in the world. If you look at this, the red line, that's what is happening in the developing countries. So which means this technology is much more relevant to developing countries. And somewhere around 2011, the developing country productivity, use of GM crops was almost similar to the one for the developed countries, because developed countries have only limited access. They have reached their the maximum, but there is much more potential for the developing countries to adopt these technologies. And we know the cotton story. Almost the farmers have benefited from this technology, and similarly they'll benefit from more technologies in the near future. Next one. And same way, many new countries are also being added. These are all small developing countries. There are only some mega countries like USA, Brazil, Canada and all. But if you look at the other countries, they're all small countries who are adopting this technology and actually deriving the benefit. So there is average 3 to 5% increase in adoption of this GM technology every year.